Rockstars. It's Rox coming to you today with the review for VH1's Family Reunion, the Love and Hip Hop Edition, Season 2, Episode 6 or 7. I think it's Episode 6, so let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys, so the show opens with us having to calm Safari down because he's about to get his ass beat by Cisco. Even though Cisco is wrong for what he's doing and just stupid in general, we all know that the AAW, you know, he don't really do too much talking usually. He just starts swinging. So he actually was lucky, Safari was, that Cisco is trying to be on his whatever version of grown man that he thinks it is. So, you know, the guys, everybody come over there, the producers come over there, try to stop it, you know, pull Safari away. Safari goes and sits down with Stevie J. You know, Stevie J was like, hey, man, you good? Like, everything okay? You know how Stevie J, the good guy, he's always got to make sure that, you know, his people is fine. In the meantime, Peter is talking to Cisco like, yeah, he's going through a lot tonight. You know, maybe all this really wasn't the best time to have a conversation. You would think that Cisco would know this, but Cisco, you know, he doesn't know. So anyway, Erica's looking at all this. And she just, I guess she's decided that she's had enough and she's leaving. You know, Stevie J, the good guy. Hey, you good? You leaving? Yeah, she's leaving. She's done. She says that Safari is acting out of guilt. And I was like, he may or may not be guilty. But I think he's just pissed that Cisco was trying to talk to him like he a child. You know, Cisco was really tripping. I would have been pissed too. Nigga, don't come at me with this mess. So the night is kind of a bust. And so everybody's leaving. Amina even tells Peter, you know, you still got it on the drums. You know. And Peter does a cute little flirting with Tara, but Tara ain't got no time for Peter. Okay, Tara. At least we know that Tara ain't trying to get back with damn Peter. Okay, so the vibe night had so much promise. Started off well. Didn't end all that good, though. Now, the next day, you know, remember Stevie J told us that he told Peter, anyway, that he wanted to talk to the Queen because Olurimi didn't invite him to the family reunion, that it came from Jonathan. So anyway, they're walking and talking. They look like they have an easy enough, you know, relationship. Rapport with each other. I mean, you know, Mimi has totally moved on, engaged now to that basketball player girl. What's her name? Ty. And so, yeah, you know, Mimi ain't really stood in Stevie J like that. But he tells her, you know, just watching what Erica and Safari are going through, you know, he kind of sees similarities there. I don't really see any similarities with Stevie and Mimi's situation with Erica and Safari, other than maybe just it was a lot of fighting. Other than that, no. But anyway, he says he sees some similarities, and now he just realizes that you know, he's got to do better. He needs to make an effort to see even more. He knows that, you know, now he promises that she's like, oh, no promise. Do not promise. No promises. Because Mimi has heard that shit before, okay? And the promises don't seem to work out, you know? So he was just like trying to convince her, like, no, I promise. But she was like, no, don't tell me no promise shit. Okay. And anyway, action speaks louder than words. And he says, well, he's going to be in Atlanta more now, you know, now that he's getting this divorce. And you know, he's going to make it a point, okay, to make sure that he gets with Eva, you know, and spends more time with him. Okay, we can deal with points. We don't want promises. She tells him, let me see the parent that you're supposed to be. He was just like, okay, bet. I got you. Done deal. Then, you guys, we see Cisco and Richie D. You know, they messing around, just kind of talking, horsing around or whatever. And, you know, Richie is telling Cisco, like, yeah, last night, you trying to check Safari like that is not cool. Cisco still can't seem to understand. You know, it was his aunt's party, and he told everybody that Safari was coming, as if this nigga was like Jay-Z or something. Okay. Yeah, he told everybody Safari was coming, and then, you know, he didn't show up, and everybody's like, where's Safari? Where's Safari? I said, ain't nobody asked you that. Ain't nobody asked you that. But he was just like, everybody was asking him where Safari was, and it made him look bad. How does that make you look bad? Was he supposed to perform? Had you guys paid him some money to come and entertain the people? Like, what is it that it was so much hinging on Safari showing up at this party. It's just bullshit, you know. So Richie D was like, yeah, I understand, but last night was not really the best time. I couldn't even take Richie D seriously. This nigga walking around with a t-shirt that says the Creep Squad. I said, are you really, you not new to this? You is true to this. You got a t-shirt made? Really? I don't know how many times that they got to talk to Cisco to let him know that he's tripping. Like, it seems like every episode we got to have a sit down talk with Cisco and it just go in one ear and out the other. Now, we see Safari, Marcus, and Peter. They are at the gym, okay? Working out, you know, working on their fitness. Shout out to Fergie. They're trying to have a heart-to-heart. Well, actually, it's Marcus. Marcus is trying to have a heart-to-heart with Safari. And basically trying to get Safari to come up off this lie that he didn't send this girl these flowers, okay? So Marcus is telling him, like, it looked bad. Like, it looked bad. The girl got the flowers, it got your name on it and all of that. And he says, I didn't do it. And he was like, yeah, but it looks like you did. He said, you know, I didn't do it. You know, blogs make up these lies and all. I mean, straight face and everything, right? And Marcus tells him, look, it's just that, you know, when we are in these situations, we have to hold ourselves accountable. You have to be accountable for the things that you do, your part in whatever breakdown the relationship might be going through. And Safari is just like an old petulant child, because he was just like, he just don't see why he has to say sorry, you know, just to make her feel better when he really didn't do anything. You know, like he said, it was a lie. The blog made up the lie. He didn't send the flowers or whatever. Okay. But Safari says the fact that Marcus talks to him in certain kind of way, you know, he don't really know exactly what it is. He can't put his finger on it. But anytime Marcus starts to reprimand him, you know what? It's like a switch goes off in him. And now he realizes the error of his ways. So then he does admit that he did send the flowers. I was just like, I mean, just like you said, you're going through a divorce. Why did you even have to lie about it? You know, you put 20 on 10 when really you could have just been like, Erica, we was not in a good place. We already going through a divorce. I'm moving on with my life. You should be moving on with your life too. Then of course we get to this thing and maybe we can, you know, salvage this relationship. But that was before this trip, you know, but the fact that he gonna lie and say that he didn't send the flowers and went through all of that the whole night before, just to turn around the next day and say that he really did. I was just like, nigga, that's why you just stupid. You a fuck nigga too, bitch ass. Like, you know, boy, there's something wrong with you too. You know, every day somebody is responsible for the activities of the day. Today, Jonathan is going to be responsible for a gay pride day. All right. And in honor of that day, he's going to have a gay conversion, a person come from an organization to talk to everybody about gay conversion therapy. And you remember he's talked about this before on Love and Hip Hop New York. And he's continuing on the cause on this franchise show as well. So he's talking to Mimi and Amina, and he's just telling them, you know, what he's went through when he was younger, and, you know, why this is so important to him, because there's kids out there today who are still going through this. There's still states that allow this. You guys know what gay conversion is like, when they try to force you not to be gay. So, you know, shock therapy, it can be drugs, it could be intense, I guess, psychological sessions that maybe include like some sort of brainwashing techniques and all kind of things that, you know, when you try to force somebody to be something that they're not. But before the gay conversion guy comes to speak to the group, he's talking to Sin, and Sin has decided to sit down and have a conversation with Cisco, you know, in the daytime when we're not in the middle of a party or it's a whole bunch of people around or we're drinking, you know, when everybody is lucid and can make some sense. So Cisco comes over, and we finally have this conversation that Sin has been trying to have, a logical conversation with, you know, the AAW with his stupid ass. So he apologizes for his part in this whole misunderstanding that, you know, happened between him and Sin. He basically said that back in the day, he wanted to see if there was something that could happen between the two of them, because I guess he felt, as far as he was concerned anyway, there was some sparks there. You know, that there could have been something between the two of them. Not sure if Sin was feeling those same sparks, but anyway, Cisco felt him. But once he realized that it wasn't going to happen, then he said he was just like, okay, fine. All right. But then he turned around and invoiced her. And that's what really upset Sin. You know, Sin's whole point was, you wasn't even going to invoice me if I would have had a relationship with you. Okay. Or if I would have got, you know, if we would have hooked up or something. But the minute that I said I didn't want to have sex with you, or I didn't want to be in a relationship with you, I was trying to keep this strictly business, then all of a sudden you giving me this invoice. Now, in Cisco's defense, all right, it still does cost money to produce records. And, you know, last time I checked, you know, most motherfuckers ain't doing this kind of thing for free. So if you're not paying with puss, then you definitely going to have to pay with money, you know. I guess she thought he was just going to give her the record on the homie tip. Maybe she would have been okay with paying if she didn't already get approached with the, you know, we can hook up and then you ain't got to worry about this invoice thing, even though he didn't say that. But of course, that's what the implication is. Okay, either you fuck me or you pay. And so she was feeling some kind of way about it, but I was just like, okay, Sam, but in the real world, really, you know, she was starting out her music career. So, you know, and I guess she just really thought because her brother, unfortunately, had killed himself, and that this record was very important to her. And she, you know, I guess she thought that Cisco just was, like I said, on the homie friend tip, was going to give her the song. Well, you know, she found out that's not what it is. Now, she did have the right to, you know, she did have the right to feel upset about it. But, you know, I mean, I'm not trying to defend Cisco, because it was fucked up, because you already, I mean, you showed your hand. This is exactly what you planned on doing. Either you get with me or you got to pay. So he was just like trying to say, yeah, well, it's just that it had to be paid. But the whole thing was like, you never said anything about any money until I turned you down, you know. And she starts crying. She's like, that song was important to me, you know, because of my brother. And he says, well, I forwarded you the song yesterday. And she goes, it's like, I don't even want the song now. Like, I don't want the song now. I make music. It's very easy for me now to get a song that might mean something to me, you know, that I can dedicate to my brother and sing, you know, now. But she's upset with him because she was like, you derailed my music career. Like, I was so disillusioned by the music industry that I didn't even want to do anything anymore, you know. So she's crying to him. He's still trying to explain to her that business is business. Okay, even though he wasn't really being the most business-like. And she was just like, I'm over it now. You know, I'm fine. I forgive you. I'm not even tripping off of this anymore. You know, I just wanted to have the conversation. I mean, I can be okay with you. Like, I can even give you a hug. Oh, I was just like, oh, the AAW. Now control yourself. Okay. Because we know that he been having them hard eyes for Sin, obviously, for all this time. So he go over there and they hug. And I was like, oh, they would have been a cute little couple, you know, if he wasn't so fucking weird, you know. But he hugs her for a long time, you know. And I was just like, you gonna let her go? I guess Sin and Cisco back on good terms. Like Jonathan said, he just wants to have this conversation, though, so that everybody can be aware, spreading awareness. And Mimi and what the child name is, Amina, you know, they were really proud of him. Even Mimi said, you know, it's very good that you stand in your truth of who you are. Okay. It was something about what Mimi said that struck me, because I don't think I have the words exactly what she said, but she kind of was saying something to him as if she wasn't gay as well. I was just like, you're lesbian too, you know. But it was like she almost kind of like separated herself from the community. Did anybody else pick it up, or was it just me? Was I just being a little too analytical? I mean, that could very well be true as well. But I did feel like she was just kind of separating herself, like, that's you, that ain't me. Maybe she was meaning the fact that he had been through gay conversion therapy and she wasn't a part of that kind of thing. But anyway, everybody comes to the conversation, the luncheon, I should say, and the man comes and he tells them pretty much what I already said, you know, that they are still doing gay conversion therapy all over the country. It still happens in many states. And their organization is really trying to squash it. Everybody is like, wow, that's terrible that it happens. You know, Peter said that's awful. And Jonathan said, yeah, you know, people that have been through what he's been through, most of them are on drugs, you know, or have just severe mental problems, even have killed themselves. And everybody, again, is just like, yeah, that's so wrong. And you can't force people to be something that they aren't. And, you know, so everybody is 100% with Jonathan and the gentleman there that's talking, and you know, everybody is saying how Jonathan, you know, he gonna always have their support. He don't have to worry about that kind of thing from them. Even Peter says, you know, he would post on his Instagram if he had to, you know, in support of Jonathan and what he's trying to do for this gay conversion therapy, you know, demolishing of gay conversion therapy. So everybody is just kind of adding their little part. You know, Bobby said that he's never been through anything like that, you know, and just the thought of it is horrible. And then Erica was like, well, so how does it feel? Like, I mean, do you feel like being gay is like a choice, you know, a preference? Do you think it's more like a preference? And he was like, no, you know, I was born this way. And Jonathan says he didn't choose to be gay. And I can believe that. I mean, the LGBTQ community has been very difficult and is just now getting to the point where they're being more accepted, you know? So, yeah, I mean, who would want to choose something that has thus far proven to be very difficult, you know? So just staying true to themselves. Anyway, while they're having this conversation, out the blue, Amina was just like, oh, Peter, your son wanted to be a ladybug for Halloween, and you told him no, and he was crying, and I felt so bad. And everybody was like, what? Okay, both Peter and Tara were like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Your son wanted to be a ladybug, and you told him no, and he was crying, I felt so bad. I was like, first of all, Amina should not have even brought that up, because that's not your child. Why are you talking about Peter and Amina's son on the show? Especially something that's such a hot, you know, like this is a hot button item that maybe they did not want to have discussed on the television show, you know? So everybody was just like, and Peter was just like, Amina, don't do that. Okay, do not try to have a moment on this show at my expense. Like, I've always been supportive of the gay community, you know, so then he feels that he has to defend himself, because he was just like, I mean, I'm sure Peter knows, like the rest of us know, that the LGBTQ, like, you don't want to get on the bad side of the community. They can come after you and they can give you a lot of grief. Okay, so even though it kind of might have felt like he was overreacting a little bit, I think he was more so not talking about that group right there. He was talking about the viewers, all of us that's watching this show, that will, you know, some of us will get offended by the fact that he wouldn't let his son be a ladybug, you know. So she was just like, you did, you know. And it just turned the whole conversation into something else. You know, Jonathan hurried up and let the man go, like, you know, thank you so much for coming, thank you so much for coming. They're about to start arguing and start talking over each other, so, you know, you might as well just go. And the man was just like, oh, okay, I go, which way do I go? You know, it got real crazy just immediately, because Peter was pissed. And Amina, she was just sort of still laughing, like, what's the big deal? She didn't even see why he was so upset. So Richie kind of takes Peter off to the side, and, you know, Peter was just like, that shit could fuck up my life. Like, no, I don't want her to be up here saying no shit, especially out of context, not explaining what the situation was. So Peter goes on to explain how his son, you know, they were at the store. His son came up to him, asked him, could he have, you know, be this for Halloween? And Peter just said, no, that's a girl's costume. And he put it down, and that was it. He was like, if my son gets older, if he wants to wear a woman's clothes, then you know what? He has my full support. All right. But he didn't feel like the ladybug costume was for a boy, it was for a girl. So, you know, and that probably was made innocently enough. All right. But, you know, when you bring that kind of situation into this bigger conversation, then it turns into something else. So Peter was mad, telling Richie, and Richie was like, but you didn't even have to make it that big. You could have just been like, no, Amina, you wrong. That's not what happened. But instead, you know, now you brought all this attention to it. Well, I mean, I kind of saw what Peter was going, you know, why he felt like that. Amina is sitting down with Erica, and Erica says to her what I just said, like, you was wrong for doing that, okay? Because that's not your child, that's Tara's child. If Tara and Peter was on the same page, or if Tara, you know, wasn't upset by what happened, then you didn't have no right to get up here and talk. Oh, honey, why did she say that to Amina? And Amina was like, I don't care. I don't care what, you know how many times that Peter has done anything to me. I don't care. I was like, okay, first of all, I'm going to need you to calm the fuck down because we grown and we having a conversation. You the one that brought this whole conversation up. And now you going to sit here and scream all frantically. You know, that poor Tara, she had to get on the microphone, was like, okay, my son, you know, every time he turns around, he wants to be something else. He changes his mind. It's like, that damn Tara was trying to explain to everybody. Amina screaming like a mad woman. When she screamed at Erica like that, Erica sort of was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be chastising her. Okay. So then Richie D is over there and he's like, you wrong, Butterfly. You wrong for that and you know it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I was just like, so then she goes storming off. And I was just like, Amina, granted, you and Peter have been through a whole lot. If Peter has embarrassed you numerous times on TV, that's understandable that you would be upset about that. That's the reason why you guys went on Marriage Boot Camp and all these other shows that you've done. I mean, not all these other shows. I mean, you were on Love and Hip Hop. You were on a Marriage Boot Camp. You know, I'm assuming you guys have squashed the issues. Why would you take this little boy's situation with the ladybug costume and turn it into, you don't care, you can embarrass Peter because he's embarrassed you? Is it about the little boy wanting to be a ladybug, or is it about you getting Peter back for doing what he's done to you? You know? So I was just like, no, Amina. All right. So all that damn yelling and screaming that she was doing, I was like, yeah, I was just like, so Erica's trying to explain to Richie, like, you know, people shouldn't shut her down. She's been shut down her whole life. And, you know, maybe we need to listen to her. And I mean, yeah, but she took it to the next level as well. First, Peter took it to this level. Then she took it to the next level. All that yelling and screaming. Now we ain't even talking about, you know, the topic, which is gay conversion therapy. Now we moved on to something else. But it did spark a debate / argument between Bobby and Zell, because, you know, their whole thing was like, now you've made Peter look like he's a bad father. And Zell was like, no, he's not no bad father. He like my dad. Like, my dad raised me to be like a man's man. Okay, now Bobby took offense to that because Bobby is a more effeminate gay man, and he wasn't raised by his father, you know, and so he feels a certain kind of way about Zell saying shit like that. You know, he was raised by his mother, and his mother did a good ass job. And, you know, so they started arguing back and forth. Bobby gets super emotional. So then these two start arguing. Zell was just like, listen, nobody is saying that the way that Bobby was raised was negative. At least I think that's what Zell was trying to say. I'm not trying to say that your shit, the way you was raised was negative. I'm just telling you it was different than what I got. My dad was a real nigga, and, you know, the more he talked, the more he kind of dug the hole. But he was just trying to explain to Bobby that it was different. But everybody's emotions was so heightened that none of that came through. It was a mess. You know, when Tara was explaining about the son and how he changes his mind so much, you know, you can't really go by that. That's not an indication that this might be a child that's, you know, feeling possibly being gay and all of that. And Jonathan says, well, I mean, I get it. I don't think that Peter is a, you know, anti-gay or anything like that. But Jonathan was saying that those are the kind of things that if this child indeed was feeling, you know, that he might be gay or attraction to the same sex or whatever, those are the kind of things that kind of smush down and make a child feel like they shouldn't be acting on those type of feelings. You know, he talked about him wanting to be a pink Power Ranger, and his mom would let him be anything but a pink Power Ranger. Okay. So, I mean, you know, so the conversation is going on and on. Everybody is super emotional. Bobby then walked off and is crying and all. And Zell is just like, okay, first of all, I feel like I need to have a conversation with Jonathan. Okay, because this has gone too far. I did not intend on all of this to go down. And so Zell pulls him to the side. And he just apologizes to him and says that he just wants to be there for him. Like, you know, but the shit is different. Jonathan says, yeah, it is different. You know, and a lot of times I feel like an outsider. And Zell was like, I feel like an outsider too. He feels like the community, you know, he's got to try to look for people that are like him. He's just looking for people that's like him. See, the community, the gay community, I would assume, is the same as like the bigger community of just the world, where there's many different kind of people, you know. Everybody doesn't fit into a cookie cutter. Like, if you gay, this is what you are. I think the only cookie cutter part of being gay is that you're attracted to your same sex. Other than that, these people have all the same differences that all of us in the straight community would have. So it's like they have a heart to heart. And Zell, like I said, apologized. Jonathan feels like they're in a more, you know, a more genuine space. You know, Jonathan does accept Zell's apologies, and they hug it out. That shit was funny when Jonathan was like, oh my God. He had the look of fear on his face, and Zell was like, what is it? It's like, it's a bug on your shoulder, bitch. And Zell was like, well, get it off. And Zell was like, don't fuck with these bugs. But anyway, now we've got to try to calm it down, okay? Like I said, Bobby is super emotional, and he's telling Sin that even though he didn't go through gay conversion therapy and go through that kind of thing, he still had his own trauma. You know, his mom was involved in the church. He went to church, you know, and they pointed out the fact that he walked a certain way. He held his hands a certain way, you know, and made him feel shamed for that. And he said, and to this very day, he still walks like that. Like, motherfucker, you ain't gonna tell me that I can't walk a certain way. And, you know, so this is his way of standing firm in him being gay. And so, yeah, he's been through some things too. So while he's talking to Sin is just like, well, the problem is nobody is listening to each other. Everybody's yelling at each other. Everybody's got their own feelings. Nobody wants to know, you know, or try to understand what the other person is going through. And that's why we keep on having these arguments like this. And so then Zell walks up to him and just walks straight up to him and hugs him and was like, I love you. You know, I love you. You know, I'm sorry. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, fight with you, you know. So he's trying to explain to Bobby, and Bobby was like, look, I mean, I accept the apology, but I just, you know, I had to understand that you and I were raised differently. And that's what Zell's point was. Yes, I was trying to explain to you that, yeah, we're raised differently. Nobody's saying that it was bad. It's just that I wasn't raised the same way that you were. And that's the reason why that I am the way that I am. And that's the reason why you are the way that you are. And then Jonathan comes and sits with them. And now we've got 3 gay guys that are sitting on this couch with very different life experiences that's all brought them to this same place. But they're all very different. So now we've just, you know, now that everybody has calmed down some and emotions have come down a little bit, you know, now they can agree that, yes, we are the same in one way, but very different in another way, but that's still okay. Okay, we still brothers, and we can still, you know, be a part of this community together. And of course, we know there's a spectrum like anything. I guess there's some gay, you know, the spectrum is whether you're more masculine or feminine, and you know, where you would fall on that spectrum. But like I said, everybody is still gay. It's bottom line. All right, you guys, I gotta go. I gotta get back to work. I have my wisdom tooth that's been bothering me. I was like, am I gonna have to get that tooth pulled? And I got a tooth down here that needs to get pulled. I'm telling you, it's fucked up ass teeth. I'm so over it, you guys. Let me go up here. I gotta get back to work. Make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm itsrox. The channel is itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, rock stars. Bye.